Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It is intimidating enough, the idea of figuring out your own finances. Frankie Guida has decided to not only worry about it when it comes to himself, but for people all around. Come on, come all. I'll help you figure out your finances and your money. So glad that you're willing to do it, Frankie, because for so many of us, it is, as I just said, it's a very intimidating process. Probably going back to the start of things in the fact that none of us, so not none of us, but so few of us have any kind of information or education given to us about how to be a financial planner for our own personal money. I mean, is that not what you find talking to people day in, day out at the office?
Yeah, this happens all the time. Is that there's not really a course on how to become your own financial advisor,
Right.
but there are so many people out there who are trying to do it themselves, and it's a huge challenge that they're undertaking with very little education on it.
Right. Well, and also retirement has
Mhm.
so much more complicated, like how to build out a proper retirement plan that's going to give us the income streams that we need. So the good news is you're here to help give us information. Certified financial planner, Frankie Guida of A Better Way Financial. ABetterWayFinancial.com is where to go to learn more about Frankie, his dad Frank, the entire team. And also we've got links posted in the show notes. I want to bring in the conversation you were having recently with singer-songwriter. You went to Nashville for country radio seminar, met lots of folks, in particular, Garrett Bradford. And I
Mhm.
loved listening to this conversation you had with him, Frankie, because there was so many parallels about where he is, what he does, and you as well. He grew up on a ranch. His dad was a rancher. And in your conversation with Garrett, he was talking about the perspective that I think so many of us can share when it comes to the work that we do. This is Garrett Bradford.
Thing about like a ranch is you're always at where your place of work is. I mean, I can't count the amount of times that I saw my dad get up at 1 in the morning to go pull a calf or something like that and complain a lot about it. In fact, he enjoyed it, it's just kind of part of it. And in some ways you learn to enjoy kind of the bad parts or the sucky parts. That comes in helpful with music too, because like, I mean, there's a lot of parts of this business that from the outside looking in, it might look like you just get to play and sing and people pay you money, but there's a lot of other stuff you got to do too.
I think when people hear that you're a financial advisor and a certified financial planner, they meant, wow, you're what a sexy life you live, investing and understanding stocks and helping people grow their money. And no, you're over here going, you know what I love? Taxes. I love talking taxes to folks. Everybody else in the world would be like, ugh, it's terrible.
Yep.
Nobody wants to deal with that. But to Garrett's point, by the way, if you haven't yet checked out his 2-part album, Honkiest of Tonkers, be sure to download Garrett Bradford's album wherever you like to listen. But to his point, sometimes the sucky parts of the job can be what you end up appreciating the most. Let's talk about why you pursued this career as a financial advisor and retirement planner.
Oh man, just before we touch on that, I mean, feeling like, grinding on the suckiest of things like taxes and things like that. I feel like I got that primarily from wrestling. I was a Division
Got
One
it.
college wrestler. I'd been
Yeah.
doing it since I was 5 years old. So that was you just kind of embrace the suck. It's not something you want to be doing. You don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning and do sprint laps around the track or anything like that, or go, do a morning wrestling practice. But you do what you have to do to get to where you want to be. So it's all about accomplishing your goals. For me at the office, it's about accomplishing our clients' goals. So figuring out, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to have done? All right, well, here's what we have to do. Here's what we're going to be able to do on our side to be able to start planning. Here's what we can do to make it so that we can try to avoid some of these problems, avoid taxes, things like that properly with the planning that we can do. But as far as how I got started in this industry, in this business, it was pretty easy for me because my parents were in this industry, in this business. My dad had been doing it he'd been in the finance industry for 30, 40 years. So this is something that I grew up in ever since I was a kid. It was something that, was always a conversation in the house about, what he was doing and things like that. And I was 16 years old. I wanted to get a job. I was in between football practices, during the course of the summer. And I asked my mom, I said, hey, is it all right if if you can help me with a resume? I want to start applying for place. I want to get a job. And she said, well, what do you need a resume for? Dad's got work for you over at the office. I was like, oh, well, I didn't know he was hiring. I didn't know I could work there, but that sounds great. Yeah, let's do that. So I started out there. I was an intern. I didn't really do any of the stuff that I do today. It was pretty much just fetching coffees and filing papers and learning QuickBooks and all this stuff that, interns would do. And I was just trying to figure out, well, what are some of the behind the scenes things that go on? And then I started to notice that the people who were coming into the conference room seemed a lot different than the ones who were leaving the conference room. And to clarify that, what I mean is people seemed a lot less anxious and a lot less worried when they were leaving than when they were coming in. And so I didn't really understand what was happening that was causing that. And so I wanted to start to sit in on some of the client meetings to see, well, what's going on? What's causing these people to not have to worry as much anymore after coming in for a meeting? And so one day, a few months later, I was sitting in on one of those meetings. My dad started to let me sit in on the meetings, and I noticed in that meeting there was, myself, my dad, and then the woman who came in sitting across from us. She was really worried about something. She was really anxious. And we had my dad and her had a conversation, and I was just a fly on the wall listening at this point. But I was listening to the conversation, and I was worried about her because she said throughout the course of that conversation that she was worried she was going to run out of money. And when she said that to me, I got really nervous for her because I didn't know her financial situation. I didn't know if she was going to be able to make it or going to be able to get the income that she needed. And so my heart sank when I heard her say that. And so I looked over at my dad nervously to see, well, what's his response going to be? Is she going to be okay? And he looked over at her and he sat there calm, cool, collected. And he said her name. And then he said, not only are you going to be able to live on the income that you're living on right now, but you're going to be able to live on $20,000 more of income each year for the rest of your life. When he said that to her, she started to tear up. And I looked over at her and I could just tell the way that this had impacted her. My dad asked her, he said, what difference does this mean in your life? And in her case, she happened to be widowed. So her husband, who did all the finances, had passed away. She didn't really know what she was dealing with on the finance side of things. She just came in and was worried she was going to run out of money. And they had that conversation, and finding out that she actually could spend $20,000 more was liberating for her, to be able to know that she doesn't have to watch every single thing. If she wanted to go on a weekend trip with her friends, she could do that. If she wanted to go out to eat, she could do that. She didn't have to stress anymore about her retirement, about her livelihood. And to be able to see that firsthand was something that really changed something inside of me, where I wanted to, at that point, I was just doing this as a 9 to 5. It was something to do for work. It was something to get out the house and do something, get paid. After that, I saw this as, I want to be able to do that same thing. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to show people that they don't have to stress. They don't have to worry about if they're going to make it in their retirement years. I want to be able to give them the comfort that they can retire with confidence. And so the show that we have is all about empower your retirement. And so that's really part of where that came from, is some of that as well, is us wanting to empower people throughout their retirement to not have to worry, to not have to stress, to not have to be anxious about, are they going to be able to do the things that they want to do in their retirement years? And so these are the types of things I wanted to do. So I made it part of my mission. So in college, I got all the licenses. I became Series 65 life and health licensed. And then I became a certified financial planner and started helping families all across the Lehigh Valley with their retirement planning. And it has just been a true joy to be able to help people with their retirement, to be able to show them that there is a path towards a brighter future when it comes to their retirement. All it takes is some planning. All it takes is some, all right, we're going to run the numbers. We're going to see, what do we need to do? How can we make this better? What can we do to make your retirement life and just your life in general better? And so that's where we start. And last year, for the folks who came in, we showed them how to save a ton of money in taxes. On average, it was over $500,000 per person that came in, or per couple that came in. We were able to show them how to save in taxes. And so having that extra money saved in taxes really translated for a lot of them into additional income that they can use in their retirement years. And so for the average folks who came in, it averaged right around $15,000 in extra income that they could spend per year in their retirement years. And so having that additional income could really go a long way as well. It showed people that you don't have to just spend what you've been spending. it showed people that you could actually spend more, that you can get the most out of your retirement. And that's what we're all about here at A Better Way Financial, is helping people to get the most out of their retirement savings. You work so hard over the course of your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s that in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, you should be enjoying those funds. You should be enjoying the fruit of your labor. And our job is to see, how do we get the most out of it so that A, you could either spend it doing what you want to do, B, you could either give it in a way that makes sense, in a way that is rewarding for you with your kids or whoever else is important to you, or C, when you do leave that legacy, we're going to be able to transition it tax efficiently for you. And so these are the things that we wanted to focus on here at A Better Way Financial. And if you don't know how much you can spend in your retirement or know when you can retire, we're going to be able to show you the strategies you can use to make that happen. And so feel free to click on the link in our notes, and we're going to be able to start that conversation with you.
Figuring out the edit here. I apologize.
You're good.
Do a pick back up. Feel free. Do the pick back up and say the line again. Feel free to click on the link we've got posted in the show notes, and then mention the website. Say, or the website's abetterwayfinancial.com.
Feel free to click on the link that we have below in the show notes, or go to our website, abetterwayfinancial.com, to begin this conversation with you.
Want to remind you also about Frankie's book, A Better Way to Retire: How a Fiduciary Retirement Planner Can Be the Key to Financial Success. Just a couple of months this book has been published. I appreciate the large font. As a person who needs the readers, Frankie, thank you very much for understanding the target demographic of the people reading this book, first of all. But this book is available on Amazon. We'll have links for that as well in the show notes. Talk about this book and what somebody can expect to learn from reading this.
Yeah, what I've looked throughout so much literature in my research in trying to help as a financial advisor, financial planner, and there wasn't really a starter kit for retirement planning, like a retirement 101 type of book.
Yep.
And so this was my design for this book, is if you don't have a lot of knowledge about how to start, what that first step is for retirement planning, this is a great book for you. If you already have done some of the research and you're just trying to get some diverse perspectives on what you can do to save money for your retirement, or how to best protect yourself in your retirement years, this is also a great book for you. So no matter where you're at on that journey in planning for retirement, this can be a book that can really help you to catapult your savings for your retirement, catapult your retirement planning to where it's in a position now that you don't have to have as much stress, that you can have a good roadmap to start out your retirement planning.
Well, it's, as to your point, it's a great way to just begin getting some information, understanding what you need to be thinking about and asking when you meet with Frankie and the team at A Better Way Financial. A couple of ways for you to get the book. We do have it for sale on Amazon. You can get a complimentary copy. Sign up for that. Just go to our website, abetterwayfinancial.com. Click on the media tab and choose the book option there. Just want to empower you with this information about your financial future through education and knowledge. So again, it's abetterwayfinancial.com, or click on the links we've got posted in the show notes. All right, now real quick, can you do a radio call to action for me at the end? I'm going to stop.
Yeah.